characteristic of an elite golf motion is the hands always get down lower, kind of underneath the waist as they kind of come into the golf ball and into the impact spot. Whereas when we watch most typical amateurs, the hands always seem to stay up very, very high before the golf club kind of scoops into the golf ball. Well, there's a very specific reason for that, and it has to do with the relationship with the golf club. In today's video, I'm going to explore what you need to understand about your relationship with the golf club, what you're trying to do to it, and what you actually need to change perceptually and with understanding to actually start to build a more effective and reliable golf swing. So the biggest problem the recreational player has when they struggle with their golf swing is that they are trying to create a surface-to-surface interaction with the golf club. So what does that mean? Well, that means they're going to use the surface of their body and their muscles to create an energy against the surface of the golf club to then make it do something. And the most common pattern is what we would call pulling. So most players that are trying to strike the golf ball are trying to pull the golf club in the direction of the golf ball, and then of course that are forced into the idea of having to swing it around their wrists. Now, the problem when you pull on a golf club is that it actually pushes back up on you. And so anytime you create surface-to-surface interactions, you're going to get basically like cause and effect, or action and opposite reaction type of things happening. Whereas what we were going to want to do in the long term is we're going to learn how to make the golf club a part of our body, so we're actually not applying a force to the surface of the club, but yet moving it in a way where it becomes a part of our body. But let's first explore what really happens. So what's interesting when you actually pull on a golf club to get it started, the pulling action actually changes the relationship of the golf club. It actually pulls it into a spin. So one thing that we'll always notice, really good players, the golf club descends like this, whereas players that are struggling, the more they're struggling, the club ascends. You see the club head go up. And that's because when you try to pull on something, it makes it spin around its center of mass. So in essence, if I was to basically take this golf club here and start to pull on it, you can see what it does. It starts to spin and it wants to fly away from me. Now, of course, when we pull on a golf club like that and it spins and flies away from us, well, we have the intention of actually striking a golf ball. So if I want to strike the golf ball, well, I'm going to have to overcome this force that is pushing the handle back up and try to direct it back down. So the prime reason why a player struggles so much is that when you pull on this and it starts to push away from you, it actually moves your arms up. And so then you're constantly trying to fight them back down, and hence that's why we see most people that struggle with golf striking the golf ball like this. The pulling of the golf club is causing, literally almost like suspending them in air and pushing them up, and then therefore they have to kind of push it through at the bottom, and that causes all the issues. So you need to get rid of the intention to pull. Nobody that strikes a golf ball at an elite manner or strikes it really well actually tries to pull on the golf club. Yet 99% of the population is trying to pull the golf club because they're trying to pull it on a plane in the direction of the golf ball. You have to be able to perceive it differently. So in the next segment of this video, we're going to talk about the actual true perception that actually gets you the understanding of making the club a part of your body, and what actually gets those hands and arms to descend so low and so naturally. Okay, so if you're not supposed to pull on the golf club, well, what is it that you need to learn how to do? Well, you need to learn how to make the golf club a part of your body such that you are using it without activating or sensing the center of mass. So the center of mass is basically the balance point of the golf club, and it's exactly what gives and creates the problem of the body having a or the mind, maybe more than the body, having a stimuli to try to use it as a lever. Anytime you try to use the golf club as a lever, like when you pull on it, pulling is a leverage movement. That's exactly what makes it spin around its center of mass. So I got to learn how to get rid of that impulse. So a very unique characteristic that you can see if you can go watch Tour Pro swings on video, and you can also watch yourself on this, but it's what I call the descending golf club. So when the golf club gets to the top here, especially when the golf club isn't overloaded, when it's actually underloaded, you will see in the best golf swings in the world, the club head does not rise. The club head actually descends. So why is it the amateur golf club, why is the amateur with the intention to get the club to the ground, why does their golf club initially rise? Well, it's exactly what I showed you when I threw it in the last segment, is that when you pull down, it goes outwards and upwards. And so the pulling downward actually makes the golf club start to rotate around its center of mass. Now, if that gets too far away, well, then the player has to readjust. And so the readjustments from becoming imbalanced make the body kind of tilt back, makes the body try to shift ahead of it, and then you get into kind of a tug of war with the golf club where you're trying to force it through the impact point. So what I would suggest for anybody that struggles with pulling or they're struggling with having a good contact is practice your golf swing like so. Can you kick it back and can you understand what makes it descend? And so there's a couple unique characteristics about allowing it to descend. You have to let your joints become freer and looser. They have to become unrestricted. So the movement that's going to give us the fuel to start it is the acceleration of gravity. Changing directions is effortless because there's something sucking us down to the center of Earth. That fuel actually will give us the same energy and the ability to actually extend effortlessly as well. But primarily, when you get to the peaking of the golf swing, that golf club, if it descends, there's a couple things that are not happening. First of all, I'm not pulling. So everything's kind of dropping and everything is being allowed to drop. So the better player's arms are not being held up by the chest muscles. They're very, very passive here. And then secondarily, they're not grabbing the golf club with any kind of pressure of the wrists. So all of these joints here must be relaxed enough to allow the golf club to appear what appears to be a lagging motion. The other piece is, you have to be loose in the pelvis too. So everything actually has a little bit of a descending movement. So anytime we see a golf club climbing, we know the player is trying to pull or trying to add a force that needs to be eliminated. So that is something that I would always have any of my players do. Start to become aware, oh wow, that club is going up. What's causing that club to go up? Well, lo and behold, you actually have to learn how to let something happen to your body before you get going in transition. Once you start to understand that, that's what starts to get the building blocks of a really, really nice golf swing. Where, oh yeah, I don't have to try so hard to get that thing going. As you become more and more familiar with it, it will become easier and easier to go faster. So in conclusion here, the action of pulling is a problem because it really does make the golf club spin, and that's exactly what gets the hands to be so high for the amateur player and all these kind of funny tilts and the kind of breakdown and impact. If you can eliminate the original cause of the problem, which is pulling, and turn it into falling and naturally allowing the golf club to extend on its own to the ball, then you start to understand the dynamics of a golf swing that actually create a lot of the positions and looks and the compression and all the good things that start to happen in the swing. All right, hope you guys found that helpful, and we'll see you all next time.